Right now, let's go to Phil in West Virginia. Phil, you're on the air. Welcome.
Hey, good afternoon, Alex. Nice to speak to you. This first-time caller. As far as the alternative media, I would say there isn't a media other than the alternative media.
No, I agree. We are the real media, the emerging, legitimate vacuum being filled by there not being a real media, yes.
Yeah, and I listen to talk radio. I mean, I hate to say this. I listen to it way too much. But I choose to listen to you. And you are the tip of the spear. There ain't no doubt about that. But there's other ones around you. So many good men out there just...
Listen, I go on a lot of our affiliates, big ones, middle-sized, small ones. Take like Knoxville. We're on a big 100,000-watt FM there. We're also on AM outside town, WBCR, for like 15, 16 years. But the one in town has top ratings. And I've been on their morning show. Those guys are smarter than I am. There are a lot of great hosts out there who I want to challenge those local stations to start simulcasting with video cams their show, and to pay for it, have subscribers enough to then get a crew and build a staff, and then you'll have a real competition of new media, and there will be people that will end up being more successful than I've been. And I'm ready to step aside. Oh, man, I'm so ready. I am so ready to be eclipsed. I am so ready to not be on point. I am so ready to not be walking point, because I'm fearless. But let me tell you, I've really already cheated death with God's good graces and really made the system very angry. And believe me, I'm lucky I'm not dead or in prison. So anytime new blood comes in that's better than me, I'm a platform here ready to lift them up. Go ahead.
Well, we pray for you, man. It's just amazing that all these different groups, like I listen to the Hagmans every night, you know. Hagman and Hagman Report. I listen to Steve Quayle whenever he's on.
Yeah, great guy.
Stan Dale. I mean, just the guys that have been, they have been there throughout the years.
Well, you notice the key to them is they never infight. You know, the real sign is, the Cass Sunstein said 6 years ago, the way they're going to take down the real media is they're going to infiltrate us, start groups, and start infighting. And how many times do people that stir up trouble, it turns out, are FBI informants? So you see somebody out there stirring up trouble, making up stuff about other hosts, you ignore them because they're a fed. Go ahead.
Yeah, and it's just like I love John B. Wells. I mean, and what he's trying to do right now.
I love the fact he's doing his own thing, a real trailblazer.
Yeah.
I mean, I advised him. I said, Coast to Coast is really big. I think I would stay there and not do your own thing, but... I thought he could do both, but I'm not going to get in the middle of that whole thing. I really enjoyed listening to him Saturday nights, but now he's doing his own thing.
But that's good, because that gives another voice, and he has some great guests on there. He's such a good interviewer.
Exactly, he's a very talented guy. Has a wonderful voice. God bless you. Good to hear from you, Phil. Now I'm going to go to break. I want to get at least Lisa and Eric in this next 6-minute segment, and then we're going to go to Brian, Mike, and many others. Toll-free number is 800-259-9231. And I want to talk about what's going to happen as the dinosaur media fully collapses. Well, Max Kaiser said it. They're going to end net neutrality, net ID, net taxes, federal harassment groups saying you're racist, trying to get you off air, federal licensing of journalists under Feinstein's plan. They're coming for us. Lisa in Oklahoma, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi, Alex.
Hi.
I'm a listener from Oklahoma, and I believe that the biggest issue down here is the gun control, and Pierce Morgan is an ass. I used to watch him at first because he was charming, English, but I'll tell you what, you did a good job. But I'll tell you, I believe CNN, by just hiring this guy, is the biggest helps to us for gun control. So, yay, CNN.
Exactly. Obama's been a big plus for the Second Amendment as well. That's the thing. If we resist their tyranny, it backfires on them. Great point. Going to move to more people quick. Great point, Lisa. Let's talk to Eric in Tennessee. You're on the air, Eric.
Hey, Alex. How's it going?
Good, brother. Thanks for calling. What's on your mind?
Well, I'm sorry to hear about Harold Ramis. That's sad, man.
Absolutely. So what is your take on Lord Morgan, the death of his show?
Oh, man. Just like Max said, ding dong, the witch is dead, man. My hat's off to you. My hat's off to, Uncle Ted. My hat's off to Jesse. You guys did a great job just putting him straight. But as far as the media goes, I mean, I'm the same age you are. I mean, grew up listening to Quiet Riot, the whole deal. When I was growing up, we had 2, 4, and 5 on antenna. We didn't even have cable, And now you've got all these choices, and when you watch something, you get a certain view of it depending on which channel you watch. Now, like with Sandy Hook, with all that mess, that was completely staged. I mean, you could tell it from watching it.
Oh, yeah. No, they definitely staged the actors and stuff. I think they really killed some people, but it was definitely a White House production.
Definitely. I mean, they wouldn't have had that one lady close her eyes to leave. She was a nurse, for God's sake. And as far as like... Well,
they'd have actors go watch this laughing and then like turn around and go do fake crying. I mean, it was bad, man.
Yeah. And like World Trade Center 7, when they showed it on the BBC and they said it had already collapsed.
And then they said we were lying and that video wasn't real. And then later they had to admit it was real. Oh, yeah. We just keep catching state-run media. Yeah, the media has been controlled by the government for I don't know how long. I would say probably the best part of the past 20 years. So, I mean, it's over for them. I mean, they just can't win with our numbers. You're right. And that's what the Pentagon said 4 months ago. By the way, we're going to go to break, but Mike in Tennessee, I want to start going to you now. You talk about Al Jazeera. I see that. Yeah. What about Al Jazeera buying Current? They're on all the cable systems. This is literally like the Saudi Arabians and the Qataris and the rest of them. I want to come back and talk about that. Symbols are powerful, and the globalists have hijacked the symbols of America. They've turned them into their own symbols. Well, we are restoring the idea of the true republic, not the counterfeit globalist empire, by promoting the icon George Washington and others. That's why we're rolling out an 100% made in America line of incredible pro-liberty apparel. We are repopularizing liberty. We are helping fellow Americans rediscover what made this country great. We are the spirit of 1776. We are 1776 worldwide. We are all brothers and sisters in arms in the animating contest of liberty in the long march towards humanity's ultimate destiny of freedom. Visit madein1776.com today and vote with your dollars to promote truly made in America, high-quality products, and promote the ideals of liberty. Think of the old days. This is CNN. Not anymore. This is state-run media. This is anti-family stage shooting media. Let's go ahead and go back to your calls. Coming up in the next segment, I'm going to get into the polio news. The FDA weighs risk of 3-person embryo fertilization. Merkel calls for Britain to remain at the heart of Europe. Cost of Obamacare contract is at least quintupled, kind of like the prices are online to do. Major censorship of people that are called global warming deniers. That is all coming up, ladies and gentlemen. But right now, let's jam in some more ring-a-dingies. Let's talk to Mike in Tennessee, then Brian in Michigan. Mike, you heard me, talking about Al Jazeera. Forget state-run. We've got foreign state-run media here, don't we?
Well, God bless you, Alex. I've been wondering what you thought about Al Jazeera for quite some time. I've seen all the lies and deceit in cable news for so long. When I finally started listening to you a year or two ago, it just kind of confirmed. And you bring a lot of proof and evidence and stuff. You just kind of confirm what I already knew. But now I was always, I don't know. This Al Jazeera comes through, and finally there's a TV in my life where I get that station, so I kind of just look and see what they're talking about. I just, don't know what to make of it. It seems like they might be talking about different things other than CNN and Fox talk about. But
well, here's the thing about Al Jazeera. They're based in Qatar, so they're able to put out some truth, but it's connected to MI6. They've been caught trying to, get behind the Arab Spring. They're real trouble. Al Gore, by the way, took hundreds of millions in oil money to sell his little network. that he never should have gotten before. You've got to prove enough ratings to even get a full-time cable channel or a satellite channel. And he didn't have that. It's a total fraud.
You know, I'll flip through the channels, CNN and Fox, every now and then just to see what they're trying to tell us. But, you know, I'm always, you know, not really believing anything they say. I'm just kind of seeing what they're saying. And I guess I was just kind of doing the same with Al Jazeera, but, you know, not really knowing what to make of it.
Well, do you like Al Jazeera? What do you think of it?
Well, you know, I like having another source of news. You know, I certainly wouldn't trust everything that comes from it.
Yeah, same thing with RT. You know, they'll report on the police state here, but not the police state in Russia. And they'll also, they're not too pro-gun and stuff. And it's just because they'll never get out from under their Soviet brainwashing. But they're pro-state views. But it's still good to have some type of counterbalance. But how about we don't have RT or BBC? I mean, they can still be there if folks want to watch them. How about we have thousands of independent media organizations giving analysis, reporting regionally, internationally. That's what's beginning to happen. And as people fund the new media, we will displace the old media, and that's happening. So, and they're going to try to shut us down and censor us. It's not going to work. Good points. Good to hear from you, Mike. When we come back from break, I'm going to go to Brian, JD, Paul, Chris, and then we got other callers. But I'm going to go to those first. Then I'm going to get into some of that news that I was just mentioning that I haven't gotten to yet. Obama seizes control of late-night TV is one of the articles up on Infowars.com. But Don has his new article up on the site dealing with the fact that Obama assassination animated satire alerts Secret Service. The Secret Service has been calling their family members and says they're coming to visit them over the satire piece where Obama, who's trying to kill the Constitution, is killed by Conrad the Constitution during a dream, but he's really Abraham Lincoln. And it's obviously not a call to actually kill the president. And the Democrats made all sorts of videos about Bush being killed with films like The Death of a President 2006, and nothing happened. They had comedians and video games, but we'll see what happens with this in the Secret Service. The video is up on Infowars.com, Season 2, Episode 8. And so, by the way, I am featured in it as well, so I've now arrived being in a Conrad the Constitution piece. By the way, I watch stuff like this when I'm on a Discovery Channel or History Channel show. People go, oh, I saw you on Discovery and History Channel. And I go, really? I go, how was it? Because I don't watch it, even though they send me a disc of it. I just sat down for 6 episodes of History Channel because the show's not that bad and I can cover, you know, issues of the Illuminati and stuff from history without being compromised. They taped 6 episodes in one night with me in different positions, different chairs, you know, different setups, sitting there talking. And I'm not bragging. It's just I'm not really fascinated with hearing myself talk about stuff. I've said it. I know it. Here it is. I don't watch it. But I do go to DrudgeReport.com. I do go to WorldNetDaily.com. I do go to Conrad the Constitution. I do go listen to other talk show hosts. Even though I disagree with about 5% of what he says, I listen to Michael Savage when I'm out driving around at night or now in the afternoon if I'm doing chores. Because, you know, I am into what's real and what's bona fide. I don't have to totally even agree with it. I just agree with what's independent and is promoting liberty in a basic fashion, going against the grain with the system. Now I'm going to go back to your phone calls from folks talking about Piers Morgan. I told you, folks, this show was canceled the day he took it over. 2 million viewers with Larry King. Within the first year, he was down to below 1 million. 3 years later, folks, 3 years into this, he has a viewership of less than 400,000 on average. To quantify that, it's pathetic. We have that many listeners in about 20 minutes on this show. That's a very conservative number, by the way. We have over 600,000 people that download the podcast every day from the listen page that I don't even promote. We have 360, 70 million views on one YouTube channel, all totaled about 550 million views on our YouTube channels. We have 3 million followers on our different, or likers on our different Facebooks that see our stuff every day. We have, I mean, it's just the radio show terrestrially, 3 million a day. 3 million a day. But again, oh my gosh, Piers Morgan. People know who he is, though, because all the other shows play clips when he has a Charlie Sheen on or when he has an Obama on. But other than that, the show itself has almost no viewers. When I go on there and say, red coat, try to take our guns, it's going to be a new revolution, that aired on every channel. That was seen by hundreds of millions. But the show itself does not have a regular long-term audience. And it's unable to steer debate and to push topics out there. The New York Times editorial staff 2 months ago bemoaned in the news, you can pull this up, that they have no relevant effect anymore. In fact, I want to show people that. New York Times admits their editorial pages have no relevance. No relevance in the culture. 50 years ago, total relevance. Controlling the discourse. Not the New York Times, drudgereport.com now, like the New York Times could do 50 years ago, can take an interesting local news story, mainstream or alternative, put it out there, and 2 days later, it's a national news story with every dinosaur parroting it or covering it. That's power. That is the fire of Prometheus, ladies and gentlemen. And we, to a certain extent now, are able to put stories out, even if Drudge doesn't carry them. They always hit big if Drudge carries them, and that's the real thrill, is seeing it defeat a gun legislation, defeat an open border legislation, defeat a provision of Obamacare because Drudge picks it up and carries it. Exposing them, Copenhagen and the climate change garbage. Yeah, there it is, MSM collapsing, New York Times now irrelevant according to its own writers. Opinion pieces have no impact on public discourse as status media sinks. That was from February 5th. In another example of how the mainstream media is in a state of collapse, the New York Times' own writers told the newspaper that the New York Times opinion pieces are now seen as irrelevant and have no impact on public discourse whatsoever. And they told that in the New York Observer interview with more than 24 current and former New York Times writers. Virtually all of them were unanimous in acknowledging that the old gray lady is dead. Okay? Illegitimate, doesn't matter. And I told Politico this when Rand Paul got elected, and I said, I only talk to you so I can tell you how pathetic you are. And I'm not on a power trip. I don't say you're pathetic, I'm great. No. I tell national news now, every week when they send us stuff wanting to come here, I tell them, even if you're a real writer, they're not going to let you publish it. Hey, that's happened a bunch. If it's not a hit piece, it's not going to be published. Only time that didn't happen was with Esquire, because the guy had so much pull there. And he said, no, I think you're a good guy. So I wrote a good piece, and they put it in the back instead of the front. And you know, I got in a little bit of trouble, but, you know, I got it out there. Everyone else, Wall Street Journal, LA Times, you name it, never comes out if they write a fair piece. They tell me, they go, my God, this never happened. You're right. They killed the piece. They said, you're too dangerous. They're not giving you attention. I don't need your attention, dinosaur. And I told, see, I live in the age of the mammals. I told Politico, I said, listen, you want to hurt Rand Paul, endorse him. You want to hurt me, endorse me. But I said, you won't do that because you're still too arrogant, thinking you run everything and you control everything. And they basically put that in the Politico article. And I'm glad they did because, listen, man, I've been threatened to be murdered by the system. I've had them call up and death threaten me and my family, telling me what I talked about on the phone 10 minutes before. I know how evil this system is. I'm not naive. You think I care about status and being petted by you idiots? I've been doing this 19 years on air, being ridiculed and attacked. Do you think now, at our moment of victory, that I want to be brought in out of the dark to be with you? I don't want to be anywhere near you. Let me tell you, I put my pants on one leg at a time. I'm real. I've got integrity. And when I'm on this show being serious and focused, it's 100% what I believe and 100% what I stand for. And I tell you 100% unvarnished, as best a research as I have, what I believe is going on. All of us see through rose-colored darklies. What the mainstream media is starting to do is taking me as Cobra Commander or the Joker or as the devil when I do these satire pieces every few months and editing them together saying he's an actor, he's fake, look, he's crazy. People see through that. I like to go and do satire pieces, and I'm going to continue to do satire pieces. And you can sit there and try to say, I'm a crazy person all day. People know the difference between Alex Jones, 100% real right now, and satire pieces. We're going to go to break, come back, go to your calls, get into the polio news, which is really big, and major censorship news. But I'm going to jam in calls from Brian, and then Chris, Paul, J.D., Simon, and others. And that'll be all the calls for today we have time for, because we have the makers of Conrad the Constitution, starring Alex Jones, Ron Paul, and the Constitution, joining us. Secret Service has contacted them. The offending video, better see it before they take it down, folks, is up on Infowars.com right now. We're going to be breaking that down. But let's go ahead and get into these articles of censorship first before we go to break and come back with your calls. This is out of Newsbusters. New York Times cartoon. You can go to their site and see it. Climate change deniers should be stabbed to death. Editorial cartoons often are petty or try to paraphrase Steve Martin's observation at the perils of comedy. But one found in the opinion section of the New York Times is downright ugly. The cartoon, which we want to go to and then link to there on screen if we can do that, folks. I want to show people the cartoon. Again, the headline is New York Times cartoon suggests climate change deniers should be stabbed to death. You click there, you can see the cartoon. Alluding to this year's brutal winter, suggests U.S. Department of Commerce strategies for dealing with 2014 icicle surplus. Among them are using icicles as locally sourced hydration devices, temporary doorstops, and brain teasers for dogs. Then comes a suggestion of one immediately looks at it again in disgusting disbelief. Icicles can be used as self-destructing sabers for dispatching climate change deniers. So there you go. You need to kill people look, the guy that's a climate change denier is a white male with a cigar. Classic communist propaganda. Why not put a top hat on him? Because it is about wealth redistribution with a carbon tax on everything that'll actually hurt the poor the worst. So just classic communist crap out of the robber baron-run New York Times. And here's another one. This is out of Fox News. Heating up. Climate change advocates try to silence Krauthammer. That's right. They've called in a petition for him to be fired for saying, I'm not a global warming believer. I'm not a global warming denier. I'm allowed to question it. Oh, no, you're not allowed to question.
Now you can watch The Alex Jones Show live as it happens at Infowars.com/show.
You'll find links to all of our content there and a free 15-day trial for Prison Planet TV.
More than 60 movies and documentaries all in one place at Infowars.com/show.
Ryan, what do you make of the mainstream dinosaur whore media, prostitute media, and free fall at every level? The nice cherry on top being loving Piers Morgan.
Well, Alex, I got to say that finding out that Piers Morgan is not going to be on TV anymore is like finding $50 in a coat you haven't worn in a year.
That's a great way to put it. It is. I think it's better than that. It's like finding $100.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all Federal Reserve notes anyway, so it's not worth that much. But, really, I think that the biggest thing, aside from them discrediting themselves, is the apathy in this country. You know, you watch those Mark Dice Man on the Street videos and just see, you know, people, they're completely disengaged.
Well, that is California, and that's the future man. Someone who can hardly talk. And if you say, for Obama, we're going to kill all conservatives. And they go, oh, yes. And he goes, we're going to kill him now. And they go, I want to kill him. And they're ready. They're ready to literally put us in forced labor camps, and then they'll waddle around in black uniforms above us.
Yeah, you know, well, not me, because I ain't going to.
Well, fighting against a liberal trendy when you're in a death camp and they're raping your wife is treason.
That's fine. I'm a traitor.
You need to bow to people that can't even talk, who watch Rachel Maddow and she tells them how smart they are over and over again. Great point, Brian. Anything else?
No, that's pretty much it. You know, I just want to say ditto. You know, I don't want to take up all your time. So thanks.
Well, you're awesome, Brian. Good to hear from you. Let's talk to another evil person, Chris in Kentucky. He's probably white, too, folks. The question is, are you racist? And the answer is, are you white? Did you wake up this morning? Yes. Chris, do you want to apologize? Are you white?
Oh, yes, I am a white. I tell you, I must be a terrorist. I'm everything.
I knew it. Go ahead, racist.
Okay. Anyway, about the mainstream media, this is hopefully more and more people I think are starting to wake up. They know they're in trouble. Bottom line is, mainstream media has gotten done to be entertainment. You got your info babes doing this, who's cooking shows on the weekend. I mean, that's not news anymore. People are figuring it out. It's time. I talk to people in generally out here saying they're sick of mainstream news because the reality they're beginning to see, and a lot of people are waking up. I mean, we're scaring them out of here. We're getting them out of here. It's time.
That's right. And then they all still pose on their big sets like everyone's watching them. It's all a facade that they have the moral authority, that they're the boss. And then the White House run Media Matters with no viewers or readers is always lecturing media who to have on and who not. We're the boss. We're the authoritarian left. You're not going to do what we say and watch us? Look at Mr. Maddow. Isn't he handsome?
Exactly. And, in our local media, all they talk about is murders and arrests on people. I mean, that's not news anymore. I mean, let's get real, folks.
Yeah, they should be talking about fluoride in your water and government corruption or how the sheriff stood up for the Second Amendment. Good to hear from you, Chris. Let's talk to Paul in the UK. That's the United Kingdom. What do you think of Lord Morgan?
I think he's a bit of a nitwit, to be honest with you, coming from a country that is very disarmed, and basically, I'm firearms trained myself. I used to be a Navy cadet, and I know how to use firearms, and I know ex-police that they say that gun control does not work now, and basically it's gone up 200% gun crime, and there's roughly 2,034 crimes per 100,000 in the UK consecutively, where there's 466 crimes per 100,000, and this is in America, where they still stay true to the principles of liberty and freedom that we've lost in these isles. And
by the way, I was about to say, you guys had a low crime rate because you were a genteel, law-abiding society like Switzerland. They took the guns, and your crime, I was reading, went up tenfold in most areas. The muggings, the stabbings, and the people aren't allowed to defend themselves.
Yeah, but basically on this issue, I was there are organisations in the UK that want to restore the right to keep and bear arms in this country as a whole. But since Switzerland adopted our model in the 1500s, which is 500 years, they've never been invaded in 500 years. Dictators and other people would never even mutter the S word in their battle plans anyway.
Well said, sir. God bless you, and thank you for calling. Yeah, they always make it an anti-British thing or anti-UK thing, this whole gun debate. The Magna Carta and then later other acts, the right for the citizens to have weapons, came out of England and became the model for the Dutch and then the folks in Switzerland. That's actually true.
You are watching the best of The Alex Jones Show, weekdays from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central. Watch live at Infowars.com/show or become a member of InfoWarsNews.com and help us take resistance to the next level.